here we are, top right-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom. We have our red Protoss player from Team Liquid. It is Nony, and his opponent in the lower left-hand corner is our pink Terran player, Kitty, Princess, Brittany, Anna Prosser. It's Root Major.
And Root Major actually still one of the better foreign players, I have to say. He's you know, spent a lot of time in Korea, and that was kind of what he was, I guess, famous or infamous for back in Brood War, as well as the early days of SC2, was basically just copying Brood War players. You know, step by step, every step of every build, he would copy them and win using the same, you know, sort of builds. It's because his execution is really, really good, so he can do that. He can really just see what wins and try to perfect it, practice it a bunch of times, and that's what he did. So back in the beta, he first joined Root through Cats. Actually, he knew Cats from the sort of Latin America scene, I guess, Latin America, South American scene. They knew each other from a lot of those events in Brood War, and yeah, Major joined the team there. There was a little bit of some, I guess, not bad enough blood for him not to rejoin a year later, but they basically had a disagreement. Major joined, followed the money, so to speak, for Six Jacks. I don't know if you guys remember Six Jacks.
I do.
But Major was on that team for a while and went to a lot of events sporting Six Jacks. You know,
TDE, Vibe, Major,
Yep, they had some real talent on that team, and was Stoji on that team? I can't remember. Maybe not.
Ooh, that sounds right, though.
That's tricky.
Yeah.
Either way, you know, a lot of those players did end up on It's Gosu. Vibe is back now with Root. Yeah, and Root is actually just a really strong squad still. So Major's bounced around a few times to a few different teams, but he is once again representing Root Gaming.
All right, so again, we want to make everyone aware, though, that if you're interested in coming out to IPL 5, our friends at Origin PC have actually done an awesome thing, and they've come in as such an awesome sponsor that they're going to be handing out free tickets, general admission, actually, limited time, just for a little while. But you want to head over to IGN.com/IPL5promo, and number 5 is the number 5, not spelled out. So again, it's IGN.com/IPL5promo.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Sorry, my apologies. I just wanted to catch up on the game here as we have a 1 Rax gasless fast expand, of course, for Major. I would expect nothing less at this point. And Nony, on the other hand, is deciding to go for double gas right away, and we'll see if he decides to drop into... Oh, okay, so going for Robo before an expansion. Not a lot of Protoss players will choose to do that anymore. A lot of players are just trying to match the amount of expansions that Terran players can put out very early on. That's
right. Nexuses are a little bit more common now. Quick Nexuses, I'll say, but he is going to actually be scouted. Major did scout this, and now has this SCV lurking to be able to scout again here in the near future. Nony not going to be able to find that SCV for the time being. Searching all around for him anyway is very, you know, due diligence. He's going to keep him perched on that cliff so he can spot Marines the soonest possible moment if they start to approach. But yeah, so far everything looking okay. Looks like Major's putting up both refineries at once, still just adding on more barracks, not actually going up for any kind of Banshee play or you know, starting off with a factory at all for any Hellion or tank play.
2-gate Robo coming up for Nony, and Major sees everything. He knows exactly what's going on. That was a great scout, and we'll see how he wants to react to this. He had a pretty good follow-up. Sometimes we'll see, you know, Terran players 1 Rax double expand against Protoss, and thankfully he didn't do so, because now he's going to be able to put on some pretty, or make sure that he stays defensive off of 3 barracks. He'll have enough units out to be able to hold off any sort of great pressure at the beginning of this game. Nony, on the other hand, expanding himself, but obviously coming quite a bit later than his opponent.
Right. Let's look at just the income or even unit tab to see the harvester count. Yep, there we go. 28 for Nony, still staying ahead, obviously, with Chrono Boost on his side. He can do that for a while, but against 2 orbital commands, that mineral income still is going to favor Major. That first factory is being built. I'm sure he's just going to use it to get up to Starport and then start scouting around with it, as you tend to see in those MMM compositions. Stim is getting researched pretty quickly there. First observer from Nony going to show up and see everything there is to see in Major's base, including that factory as it's still being built. So both players with a good idea of what's going on in the other player's base.
And Major's starting to catch up in workers now. He's only down by 2, but of course with 2 mules down, you can see that his income rate is actually quite a bit better than Nony's for now. Nony just finishing up that second Nexus, still about 5 seconds away. Double observers out just to keep tabs on everything that could be going on around the map, and starting with that early +1 armor, which I think is a really nice decision. Some Protoss players have been going back into it. Used to see that exclusively at the earlier parts of the game because everyone used to extol the virtues of, oh, you have, you know, Guardian Shield plus Zealot's natural armor +1, and Marines almost do nothing at the very beginning of games. But people have gotten away from it for a while, bypassing upgrades in favor of faster Colossus pushes. But it's starting to come back a little bit earlier Forges and a little bit quicker into the +1 armor. So I like that from Nony.
Yeah, all these builds in StarCraft 2 are pretty cyclical. I mean, you know, eventually you go through the whole wheel of what units, what counters what, and you end up back where you started and kind of continue the cycle over again. But that happened in Brood War over the course of many years. It's happened in StarCraft 2 a couple of times. You'll see some things regress and come back. You know, Thor drops have kind of disappeared for good. Colossus drops have kind of disappeared for good. But, you know, some things are just decidedly bad. Other things, you know, have their place when they kind of rotate through all of the end game strategies once again.
Okay, so Nony is once again revealed. He decided after putting up the initial warp gates and the robotics facility to cut everything else in favor of just pure infrastructure. So Robotics Bay is on the way. I don't believe the scan revealed that. Yeah, it was actually just out of vision there. So at the very least, Nony will be able to hide his Colossus tech.
Yep, so once that first Colossus comes out, it'll be a bit of a surprise, perhaps. We've got a push out from a Major, lots of Marines, only 1 Marauder in tow, and 2 medevacs. It's going to lend him some mobility, of course, to be able to pick up and drop inside of Tyler's base, or just be able to save some units and try to get out of there if things go wrong or things go bad. That was a pretty quick stim up just to kill an observer.
Yeah.
Stim up and a scan blown. Interesting, but he does have those medevacs to get healed back up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so not too bad, as it was nice of him to be able to pick off that observer. Of course, we knew that there was a second out for Nony, but actually not sure where it's at, as this factory could actually tank a few shots. It was something that Marine King was fond of, and units at the back that are kind of grouped together and just clicked up to the front to do damage will start to target whatever's closest to them if other things are out of range. So it can absorb shots, it can also close off attack paths. And Nony he really has to defend now. And here comes Major. He's just going to start to run up. He picks off one sentry right away, almost gets a second, picks up and gets out.
Yeah, that's, again, the benefit of those medevacs very quickly, being able to neutralize, so to speak, the force fields of Nony. Just pick up and book it out of there in case something goes wrong. And one thing the factory can't do is butt heads into a Colossus and knock it over, but
that's right.
You know, they are massive units. Air units can hit them. Vikings can shoot missiles directly at them, but factories just can't knock them over.
And Nony's already planning for that strategy. It's been used by so many Protoss players lately of showing 1 Colossus, getting your opponent to produce Vikings, which Major has. He's got a few that are out on the map, and moving into Charge Lot Archon right afterwards. 3 more gateways on the way, and it's going to give him a total of 7. So 7 gates going up to a 3rd base, and we'll have Charge Lot Archon momentarily. Yep. Oh boy.
Oh, that is a large force to be able to deal with, these medevacs and all the bioforces tucked inside. Major also has a contingent of units at the Zelnugget Tower near Tyler's natural. All these stalkers are ready for it. They're going to be dropped out one by one, and all the medevacs are going to survive. So really good for Major, picking off that first stalker and establishing himself on the ground right next to that mineral line. Probes not being pulled. A lot of them go down. He is going to try and rush down these Colossi and manages to snag both of them with some stims. He still has the opportunity to pick up and leave if he wants to try and save some units, but he did move forward with that little clump of units at the Zelnugget Tower. He's done a lot of damage. All the medevacs, actually 3 medevacs still surviving, as well as those Vikings that flew in kind of the last second after the Colossi were dead, but he's going to be able to escape with his air units there, and just does not have enough bio to continue this assault, but really good pickup for him. And you know, these SCVs transferring over to 3rd base, everything looks pretty good on Major's you know, economy back at home.
Yeah, things are looking fine, and I'm a little surprised he let the last 2 Vikings finish. I guess they were close to being done anyway, and you figure you could use them for other purposes, and it looks like he is going to duck out with them. But he's very acutely aware of the fact that there was nothing being produced at the robotics facility, and there was a Templar Archives that was down. The Twilight Council was researching something, so he knew the switch was there, and he very clearly sees the charge lots now. He has the Ghost Academy finished, I believe, but no ghosts out on the map.
He did finish that Ghost Academy, unless he just totally canceled it.
No, there it is. Okay.
Okay. Now researching Cloak for his Ghosts. So they'll be usable for EMPs a little bit later on. I almost said MVPs. Ghosts are very good for using their MVPs. MVP's good at using Ghosts,
yes,
I guess you could say. But either way, Major going to take out that Nexus and still harass with the landed Vikings. I like this. This is something that I still feel is not utilized enough, landing Vikings to get damage on probe lines, because it's almost just like, you know, sneaking in infestors or something like that.
Yeah.
It can catch your opponent unaware. The only problem is they're a bit expensive, and losing them like that can set you back a little bit. Either way, Major still with a pretty sizable force. Losing another medevac there. Tyler kind of sharking around the map. He's got his forces out on the field, and Major, you know, knows that they're not at home, so he could try to abuse that and load up in some medevacs and head back to Tyler's base, or you know, he could just set up and post up and try to be able to defend if Tyler shows up at his third base.
All Nony's remaking that third base right now, and our first Ghosts are hitting the map. Actually, 3 being produced at a time, and Mobius Reactor did finish just before them. You don't see enough Terran players, I think, doing what Major just did a lot, you know, because the Mobius Reactor is very similar to Pathogen Glands. It allows additional energy on these casting units to actually pop out whenever they first hit the field, and you usually see Zerg players, they'll start Pathogen Glands, they'll get 30 seconds of the way through, then they'll start making infestors so they can take advantage of the upgrade as soon as possible. A lot of Terran players, though, will throw up the Ghost Academy, start producing a bunch of Ghosts, and kind of just put up Mobius Reactor when they feel like it.
Yeah, I did misspeak there and said Cloak, but I knew it was the energy upgrade. I started talking about EMPs, and I was like, wait, okay. Anyway, yeah, Cloak really helps with those EMPs. I mean, you know, I mean, it does, but just, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, now that that's figured out, he does not have Cloak situated for his Ghosts just yet. He still could, and then, you know, it can be handy to send up your Ghosts early so that they can avoid being feedbacked by the fedback, I guess.
Yeah, fedback?
Fedback?
I don't know, is that a thing?
They don't want to be backfed.
Yeah, that's true. We'll go with backfed, I believe.
By the Templar. Yeah, backfat Ghosts are really terrible. There's Cloak being researched.
Backfat Ghosts.
Backfat Ghosts are dead Ghosts, so
yeah.
useless Ghosts. But Kitty, Major, is going to press up once again, draw all those charge lots out. I like that, drawing them out with just a couple of units, getting them to use that charge cooldown so that he can move up with the bulk of the forces and they can't charge in. That's great moves there from Major, and picking up all those charge lots really, really fast. Here come the Ghosts, EMP splashing on the heavy hitters, those Archons, and he should still have some EMP left for these Colossi. I don't see any Vikings anymore, as he did land and lose them earlier, but he's still going to stem up, charge it down, and only one Colossus left out of this huge force. There's another one just barely popping out, but Major again doing a good job splitting his forces, only sending a couple to finish off that Colossus rather than everything, backing off into the EMPs once again. All of his control looking very good here.
Oh yeah, I mean, Major's kind of on top of his game, and the last Colossus is going to fall, and now he's at double the supply of Nony, so Nony really doesn't have anything to do. The 5 Ghosts can pick off light units extremely quickly, so any Zealots that make their way up will get picked off very fast, and the medevacs are still giving a little bit of sustain here to the units around the back. They still have energy. Major's in such a good spot, man. Nony's not looking good.
Yeah, only 2 Colossi at a time being produced for Nony. He does have some minerals, but I'm not sure if his gateway cooldowns are going to be available. Losing that third base is going to be rough. You can see the stream of pink units coming across the mini-map. We've got a ton of reinforcements, Vikings, Bio, Ghosts,
just keeps going.
Yeah, Tyler able to warp in a couple of Archons, or morph them, excuse me. But yeah, EMPs can drop right on that and finish those off in seconds. There you go, the EMPs. Landing, and all these reinforcements from Major still hanging out of Tyler's third. Will be able to step up. If Tyler thinks that he can just kill this force and be good to go, he's going to be sadly mistaken, as here are the reinforcements stemming in from the left side. Still quite a lot of units on the field for Major.
And there are the Vikings on the high ground too. Nothing to stop those. There's GG. Nony is down. Major takes game number 1 here in this best of 3. And I'll be very honest and upfront with people. We did